It's 3 a.m. You're staring at the ceiling. Your phone says you have 4 hours left before your alarm. Your heart starts to race. Something feels wrong with you. But here's the strange part. For most of human history, waking up at 3 a.m. wasn't a problem at all. It wasn't insomnia. It was Tuesday. Your ancestors expected to wake up in the middle of the night. They planned for it. Some of them even looked forward to it. The real answer is far stranger than anything a sleep app will tell you. Right now, you live inside a single unbroken block of sleep. You go down around 11, you surface around 7. 8 hours, one long tunnel through the dark. If you wake up in the middle, something feels broken. You reach for your phone, you check the time, you panic a little. But that pattern, the one-block pattern, is new. It's maybe 200 years old. Before that, for most of the time humans have existed, sleep came in two pieces. Historian Roger E. Kirch spent over a decade digging through diaries, court records, medical texts, and literature from before the Industrial Age. What he found was a phrase that shows up again and again in language after language: first sleep and second sleep. People in pre-industrial Europe would go to bed a couple hours after sunset. They'd sleep for 3 or 4 hours. Then they'd wake. Not in a panic, not checking a clock that didn't exist. They'd simply wake, because that's what the night was built for. This waking period lasted maybe an hour, sometimes 2. People used it. They prayed. They talked with a partner in the dark. They tended a low fire. They visited neighbors. Some had sex, and physicians of the era actually recommended it during this window, believing people were more relaxed and more likely to conceive. Others just lay there, quiet, thinking. Then, when the body was ready, they drifted into second sleep and woke again with the sun. Think about that for a second. An entire civilization built its nights around 2 sleeps and 1 waking hour in between. Nobody called it insomnia. They called it the watch, or the vigil. It was expected. It was normal. It might have even been sacred. So what changed? Light changed. Or more precisely, the absence of darkness changed. For nearly all of human history, night meant night. Total darkness, except for firelight, moonlight, maybe a candle if you could afford one. Darkness that deep does something specific to the human body. It triggers a hormone called melatonin, and melatonin doesn't just make you drowsy, it also seems to shape the architecture of your sleep itself. In the 1990s, psychiatrist Thomas Ware ran an experiment that essentially recreated ancient night. He put a group of volunteers in a room with 14 hours of darkness a day, no artificial light allowed, for weeks at a time. No screens, no streetlights, nothing. Within about a month, something remarkable happened. The volunteers stopped sleeping in one long block. Their sleep split, almost exactly the way E. Kirch had found in centuries-old diaries. A few hours of sleep, a stretch of quiet wakefulness, then a few more hours of sleep. Their bodies had rediscovered a rhythm that industrial light had erased. Which raises an uncomfortable question. What if the 8-hour block you were chasing every night was never actually the human default? What if it's a modern invention built for factory shifts and electric bulbs, and your body is still, underneath all of it, wired for 2 sleeps and a quiet hour in the dark? That reframes 3 a.m. completely, doesn't it? You're not broken. You might just be old, ancient old. Your biology might be doing exactly what it was built to do in a world that no longer gives it permission to do it. Now here's where it gets even stranger. Because if segmented sleep really is the ancestral default, You'd expect to see it in the few remaining human groups who still live without electric light. And you do. Sort of. Neuroscientist Jerome Siegel at UCLA led a landmark study tracking sleep in 3 hunter-gatherer and pre-industrial societies still living largely without electricity: the Hadza in Tanzania, the San in Namibia, and the Tisimane in Bolivia. His team put sleep monitors on real people for real weeks and measured what actually happened, not what folklore claimed happened. The results surprised almost everyone, including Siegel himself. These groups didn't consistently split their sleep into 2 neat blocks the way Ekirch's European diaries described. Most nights, they slept in something closer to one continuous stretch, but their nights had other ancient fingerprints. They fell asleep hours after sunset, not right at dark. They almost never napped, and they woke reliably before sunrise, their bodies syncing tightly to temperature and light rather than to any clock. So maybe the truth isn't that every ancient human split their sleep in 2. Maybe the truth is something looser and in some ways more unsettling. Maybe the modern 8-hour block, anchored to an alarm, disconnected from sunlight and temperature, disconnected from any waking hour of quiet in the middle, is the real outlier. Not because ancient sleep had one universal shape, but because it was flexible in a way yours no longer is. Your ancestors' sleep bent to darkness, to cold, to firelight, to the season. Yours bends to a screen brightness setting and a 9 to 5. Harvard sleep researcher Charles Czeisler has spent decades studying exactly this collision between ancient biology and modern light. His work on circadian rhythms shows that a single hour of bright screen light before bed can suppress melatonin enough to shift your internal clock by an hour or more. Multiply that by every night for years, and you get a species quietly out of sync with the sun that built it. So when you wake at 3 a.m. now and panic and reach for your phone, you do the exact opposite of what your ancestors did in that same hour. They sat in darkness and let their eyes adjust to nothing but firelight and stars. You flood your retinas with a screen brighter than a summer sky and tell your brain convincingly that morning has already arrived. No wonder you can't fall back asleep. You didn't wake up broken. You woke up ancient in a world that punishes ancient. Here's the modern mirror in all of this. Somewhere tonight, someone will wake at 3 a.m., feel a flicker of quiet dread, and reach for a device to make the feeling go away. But that waking hour used to belong to something else entirely. It used to belong to slow thoughts, low firelight, a partner's voice in the dark, the kind of stillness modern life almost never offers on purpose. Maybe the next time you wake in the middle of the night, the answer isn't to fight it, or fear it, or fix it with a screen. Maybe it's to do what your ancestors did for most of human history. Lie still. Let your eyes adjust to the dark. Let your mind wander somewhere quiet. It's 3 a.m. You're staring at the ceiling, and for the first time, maybe that doesn't feel wrong at all.